Jacob, home field has so much new stuff, especially for March and March Madness. They came in with new jerseys, like new retro jerseys, which are super, super cool. They always have the best stuff. I bought a home field shirt a couple years ago, and it still looks brand spanking new. And I got more home field stuff on the way. I absolutely cannot get enough of home field apparel.
If you're a NASCAR fan, actually, they have some throwback gear on their site too
Yeah.
right now. So tap in, home field. If you want to support the show, use code SQUARE at checkout. You get 15% off if you're a first time orderer, or you get 10% off if this is if you're just a home field addict. That's code SQUARE at checkout. There's one company, Andy, that we trust to put our own merch out there into the world and who we firmly believe is coming on top this football season. That's elitesports.com. They support athletes directly. They make custom stuff for us and for them. So how could we not be on board?
We got friends who have bought the crew necks. I always wear my Elite Sports Squaring Around hat. Got to support the brand. Use code SQUARE at checkout for a 10% discount. Not too shabby. EliteSports.com. They support the athletes and they support us. So go support them.
Thanks for squaring. Let's talk about the biggest fucking thing going on.
Let's address the elephant in the room.
let's address the elephant in the room. The rap beef in America right now. Did you know Quavo and Chris Brown had beef? I didn't know that till today.
So I knew it like last week when Quavo like kind of responded back to Chris Brown's original shot, and Chris Brown put out like probably the best diss track of the year. Crazy. And Quavo came back, and the Quavo comeback wasn't as good, I didn't think. But this is white people talking hip hop,
and that's not even the biggest rap beef going on. Obviously,
I would argue this one's bigger.
The world. You think Quavo and Chris Brown is bigger than that?
Well, at least we're getting responses. You know what I mean? So, like we've gotten one half shot. One dude took his shot back. Rick Ross did whatever. One dude used AI. I would argue Chris
Kanye's
Brown.
Kanye's on a like that remix.
Yeah, I would argue Chris Brown and Quavo more pure to the game. You know what I mean? It's like, do you prefer the NBA or college basketball? That's what I would compare it to. Yeah, they're doing a fundamental rap beef with the Chris Brown Quavo stuff. This new school analytics, AI, not really about it.
Oh, and then Meg Thee Stallion got accused of something insane today, too. That has nothing to do with rap. That's just might be her own sexual promiscuity.
Well, I'd argue, I think Drake's the one that leaked the news. I think Drake is just out here. Yeah.
He's
Machiavelli. Yeah.
He's got an army, an OVO army, all wearing owl outfits.
Aubrey's Angels.
Come
on. Don't get it twisted. Drake's out here like that.
It's crazy because, like, he really can do that because of like the infrastructure that he has around him. He's like Texas A&M.
Ooh, is Drake the Texas A&M of rap?
Yeah, they have so many resources and stuff, but he doesn't win album of the year or anything like that. Obviously,
bunch of #1 recruiting classes, bunch of #1 albums,
championship titles.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I you know what? I like that. Throw that out there. Put that take on Twitter and just fish a little bit. Is Drake the A&M of rap?
And I say that as a certified lover boy. Like, I definitely like Drake. I listen to his stuff, but he's not in my top 10. That's for sure. I'm a Kanye, Omari West, fucking Hovenger, basically.
If I never heard another Drake song, I wouldn't mind.
I need a one dance for real.
Nah.
No.
Passion fruit. Him with some passion fruit.
I'll tell you when I was really afraid to be a Drake hater is when he came out with that song featuring Michael Jackson, and I was like, "Oh my!"
Oh no!
And then it was dog shit. That whole album.
It was dog. The Scorpion was awful. You put a 40 song double album out, and like none of them hit. What are you, Chris Brown? See, look at that, full circle.
Chris
Brown be doing shit like that.
So Chris Brown came out with the song that starts off with Quavo begging for mercy.
Now we can settle this like you got some class, so we can get into some gangster shit.
Hey Chris, I don't want no issues, bro. I don't want no smoke. I don't want fights. I don't want to do nothing, bro. Like, please, bro.
Who wants to smoke with me? Who wants to smoke with me?
On a voice message, like, "Yo, Chris, I don't want any beef. I don't want anything like that." That is insane.
Would you ever do something like that? How deep in it would you have to be? No, come on. There's a levels to this.
How deep would you have to be from someone?
If I knew they had shooters like that, I'm like, hey, it's not enough to die over. You know what I mean?
You kids today are nothing but punks. Sissified. So quick to pick up a gun. You're scared to take an ass whipping. This is what makes you a man. When I was growing up, this was all the protection we needed. You win some, you lose some. But you live. You live to fight another day. And you think you're a man with that gun in your hand, don't you?
I'm a man without it.
Put the gun down.
Like, is this rap stuff enough to
at
die
a
over?
certain point, I think your manhood gets called into question, and you're like,
Yeah, but you know
"What are you
what's
gonna do?
not called my
Assassinate me,
question?
Drake?"
You know what is not called my question? My heart rate. You know what I mean? my blood oxygen level. You know?
As soon as people start playing with your life, you're like, "Hey,
Yeah.
let me
Yeah,
get on
we gotta
this
walk
voice
that, we
message."
gotta walk that
game.
back. Yeah. Well, even here's the thing. Maybe I'm not leaving a voice message for them. Maybe I'm calling their team and being like, "Yo, look, what are we doing here? Like, is it so serious? You're gonna kill me over?
This
Like,
is
come
this
on."
is actually perfect because you have a lot of haters. So would you fight someone
Over
Would
the
you-
podcast?
No, not over. I don't know if I would fight somebody over the podcast. But
No, I don't think. I think if you ran up on me on the street about this podcast, I think I'm like, all right, whatever.
you have much
Like,
bigger problems in your life if you're running up.
yeah, if you're running up on us, on Squarin around, and this is the message across the board. If you run up on me about this podcast, about something we said on this podcast, it's not that serious.
Yeah,
It's
most of the time, I
not.
have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I hit record, took a Benadryl right now. We'll see what comes out of my mouth in a few minutes.
So what do you mean? What would it take for somebody to run up on, like, a radio thing? Like, I'm
I
talking
guess,
crazy.
yeah, what would
I'm-
you put on the line?
I'm talking crazy about Jeremy Sohan, and all of a sudden the Polish dudes run up on me. I don't know. Like,
Some guy from
I-
the Netherlands.
no, man, I don't think any of this stuff is so serious that I'm going to risk my life over. Now, I'm out having a good time with my friends or a girl or whatever, and I'm in a bar or a restaurant, and somebody taps me on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, man, I heard what you said about Nolan Ryan about being overrated." I'm like, okay, cool. They pull a gun out. I'm like, you're right. Top 3, not number. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? I'm not dying over this.
That's true. Damn.
Like, what did you say about the New England Patriots second round picks? Dog, I said they miss a lot. That's all. That's insane. No, I don't think I would die over this. Is there a sports take you would die over? I don't think so. I think
No.
I don't think I used to maybe at 16 I was like so strongly entrenched in something. Now it's like, all right, whatever. You don't agree with me? That's probably your fault. You know, you probably don't know what you're talking about. Except Mike Craven. Craven says some stuff I disagree with, and I'm like, fuck, he's right. I go home, I'm like, ugh. That's somebody who has more haters than me.
That's true. Craven's a shooter, though. He stands his ground.
Ooh, that's true. And okay. All right, that's fair. Yeah, I'm the opposite of Craven.
Yeah, I don't know if I would die from any of my shit either. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, you know how people are like, oh, journalism is a public service. You're in this for the good of the people. I'm like, not me. I'm here for the wrong reasons, to quote The Bachelor. I'm here for awards, accolades, and money, which is, you should not get into journalism if you're into that
picked
shit.
the wrong profession for that.
Yeah.
You should have gone into sales. You could have done that, salesman of the week. Made a
Hey,
bunch of
not
money.
too late. Not too late.
Yeah, never too late. No, I'm trying to think. I think the Nolan Ryan thing right now is like the most hot takey-ish thing I have, where I'm like, I don't think he's as good as people make him out to be. Like, great, top 15 pitcher. I'm not arguing he's not a Hall of Famer, but it's like best pitcher ever. That's where we get like a little, icy. And today came up again. Hey, Zimmel's an idiot. He thinks that Nolan Ryan's overrated. I'm like, all right, great. And then nobody can ever tell you what makes him better than everybody else. Or, the shutouts. A lot of dudes have shutouts. Oh, the fact he beat up a guy. Okay, I didn't know it was boxing. Like, I didn't know that was what we were judging things off of. If I knew that, like, you had to beat somebody up to be the best pitcher of all time, I would have thrown some gloves on. I would have been fighting on the mound all the time, bro. But
It's
anyway,
funny because
yeah.
that is not an aspect of that sport. Like hockey, like you could argue Matt Rempe being able to beat the shit out of people.
Nobody's being like, nobody's being like, who's really great? Bobby Orr, because he had a great right hook. No, nobody's saying that about Gretzky. It's just this Nolan Ryan thing. So anyway, it's not the end of the world, but people are really on me about that right now.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Squarin' Around. My name is Jakob Rodriguez. This is Andrew Zimmel, the Texas State Sports Press in all his glory. And this is the show where we talk about everything Texas State. Except we don't have a lot of shit to talk about, really. Last week, we put a big bow on football. And I was thinking about this the other day, Andrew. What a difference in coverage we have had from this year to last year when we actually have a football team to talk about. Because last year, pretty much around this time, this was all theory work. You know, we were like, maybe if Texas State is good, we'll have some shit to talk about. And we have. We've had a lot of shit to talk about. So that's why I think our shit has been so all over the place lately. This week, though, Andrew did hit me up on Saturday and was like, hey, we should get the basketball coach on the podcast, Coach Z. And I was like, perfect. Sounds good. I'm down. Come around yesterday. I'm like, so no Coach Z? And he's like, nah.
All right.
So worst booker, Andrew Zimmel?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I didn't know this is where you were going with it, but we can talk about it. Look, do I owe
you like that?
some
It was like
blame?
A big, right back to you.
Yeah. Some Pearl Harbor shit. Do I? Because you're about to come down here with me. Okay. For the length of this podcast,
for the length of this
podcast, it has been, hey, I think we should have this person on. Oh, that's a really good idea. And then we got in a group chat together. Okay. Now, when it's a coach, you, me, and that person. So it's you, me, and Brady, you, me, and Brian, right? These are the two that I bring to the table. Now, normally
these are the two people that I bring to the table.
I'm not claiming I'm bringing a bunch of people here. Could I do more? Yeah, sure. I'm not claiming that. I'm not saying that I'm bringing a bunch of people. But Coach Z, all right, that's one of my dues. I can get behind that. But that's a SID thing. I don't have Chris's number like that. You do. Now, do I need Chris's number like that? Probably. In the future, I should probably be hitting him up with stuff. But I just was like, all right, let me go talk to my producer, my booker, and be like, hey, guest? Yeah, that's a great idea. So when you come to me and be like, no, Coach Z, it's like, didn't know that was my job. I would have done it. I would have hit him up, but didn't know that was my deal. So maybe in the future, we get him. But it was a good one. It was a good little zig in there. But
somebody at the spring game actually came up to me and they were like, "Hey, are you guys having trouble getting guests on?" And I was like, "What?
Who said that?
Who said that?" Yeah. That was like we were talking about earlier. Some rando rolled up on me, and I was like, "What are you talking about? We're not having guest problems."
This goes back.
I mean, yes and no. The thing about having guests on is that you have to align their schedule with fucking me and Andrew's, which is already an impossible task because we can barely align our schedules, and we work the same fucking shift.
This goes back to the YouTube comment. Really like you guys. Like the guests a lot more.
Yeah, really like you guys. Like the guests a ton more. Though our single, I guess, what do you call this? Our
solo
just regular squaring around fucking episodes have done really well this year. Like we've been averaging I don't know, close to 100 views an episode.
So you know what you should say? So if you don't like to know how to guess, stop watching, and then we'll go back to guess.
And then when we first started doing this shit too, people were like, "Love the guests, man. When you gonna have another guest on?" And I'm like, "How the fuck are me and Andrew supposed to establish our own shit if we're always having a guest on?" It's nice to have a guest, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. I will give Coach Z a shout out. They've done an incredible job on the recruiting trail. They did a really good job last season, replacing 10, 15 seniors, if not replacing the whole team. And now this year they're bringing in more transfers and stuff. So it's cool. They're doing something really cool over there. I'm excited to have them on maybe next week.
Texas State signed, or I guess got an official visit from this kid I've been following, Austin Green. See this guy? He's from out of Stephenville. It's a pretty good follow. But they did the same thing. Guy? Yeah, Stephenville. Yeah. Yeah, that's the area of the state I watch whenever Texas State's in
That's what I'm saying.
Who's
our recruiting coach for that area?
I think it's Coach Mathis.
Oh my God.
Am I pulling out of that shit? Look at that.
That was pretty good. That was
Background
pretty good.
knowledge. But yeah, that kid was on campus. They've been having a bunch of dudes out there. It'll be interesting to see what the fuck they do because I have no idea how to fix that team.
Men's basketball?
Men's basketball, yeah. Because like you mentioned women's basketball, they have this super highly touted freshman coming in next year, and they're bringing in some transfers, get some veteran presence around her. But who knows, for men's basketball. Because at least women's basketball, it feels like has a plan.
The winning formula for Sunbelt basketball has been for the past couple of years good guard play and a big man that can average between 7 and 7 and like 10 and 10. Like if you have a big man who's like just a serviceable rebounder, serviceable, could get to the line type of big man, you can win some games in the Sun Belt. Texas State has not really had that. they've had a bunch of athletic big men that's come through, but they've never, well, not never, but they haven't had a true dominant force down low, and they haven't had consistent guard play when it comes to shooting outside and getting to the hoop. And I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things, Jacob, where if everybody else is doing like 75, right? If you want to do 85, that's fine. But if you do 45, you start slowing up traffic. And I think Texas State just needs to get in with the rest of the conference and like, hey, this is how basketball is played. It's not a good conference for basketball anyway, for men's basketball. You easily could rise to the top if you just hit a couple of these recruiting classes.
And the thing is, we've had not great teams and not great years. And then like this year and last year, and even the fucking year before, you could argue like we've just had good tournament play.
But you know what's funny? So I've been banging this drum for a minute. Regular season doesn't really matter. Like it's about winning the conference tournament. Mm-hmm. And Texas State men, at least, have consistently almost won the tournament. Like it's not winning the tournament, but they've gotten really close.
It's right there. We've never won the tournament, and the entire time the Sun Belt has had a conference tournament to end the year either. So I don't know. And now they're doing whole thing with the MAC and the Sun Belt where they play a bunch of MAC teams over the course of the season, and there's like a little cup that you win at the end of the year. None of that shit matters. You're right. It really is just regular season, how you get seeded into the tournament time.
Well, especially when Texas State and the Sun Belt in general only gets one automatic bid. Like you have to win your
and then that automatic bid plays fucking Alabama game 1, and then you're done. Like that's the whole season for the Sun Belt, pretty much.
You have to be like Georgia State was on a little bit of a run where they were like always consistently like a top 4 or 5 team coming into the tournament. Then they would win the Sun Belt. And then that's how you end up being like a 14 seed, a 13 seed. And then maybe you get a win. Maybe you upset a team. But it would take a lot for Texas State or any Sun Belt team to get a spot in March Madness higher than like a 12 seed. It would take a lot. So the Sun Belt will always be at a disadvantage coming into the NCAA tournament unless something changes. Unless there's like a real big push for basketball, which allegedly Keith Gill, the commissioner, has like been pushing these teams. Hey, start investing in men's basketball here because it's not. We should have the
conference tournament. Pensacola,
Florida. I don't know why you don't. It's on ESPN, the conference championship. Okay, for basketball.
Okay,
but most of those games are on ESPN Plus. Mm-hmm. And most of your conference partners have ESPN Plus capability. Mm-hmm. Why are you not going and rotating locations? Like, I understand that Pensacola probably has a pretty cool deal with the Sun Belt. And when it was in New Orleans, it was great. But why don't you just rotate through? And I know nobody wants to go to Jonesboro. Nobody wants to go to like Hattiesburg. But it would be good for those communities to have the Sun Belt tournament, right? Like
I would imagine that it's just easier overall for the conference to do that shit, right? Like it's probably less money than renting out Pensacola Dome or wherever the hell they play.
You would think. And I mean, like, okay, would it kind of suck to go to James Madison in like March or February or whatever? Yeah, sure. It would kind of suck, but it would be good for that community. It would be great for that community that if the entire Sunbelt West had to travel to Virginia for it, right?
And will it suck that they can only play like 2 games basically a day? Like, oh wow, Texas State's playing at 2 on a Wednesday.
But I get that, but like they're playing weird times in Pensacola.
No,
It's and you don't have to. I understand it would make it easier for travel to have the men and the women at the same location. I get that, fine, but I understand too that this is like the kids' spring break. Fine, I understand that, but at the same time, if the options go to Pensacola, Florida, or just have one of your conference partners host the thing, and it would incentivize people to spend money on their basketball programs because, hey, we're hosting in 2028 or whatever. Let's make our stuff look good.
Maybe that's
Let's
what
make
it
sure
has
that
to
our
do
hotels
with
are there.
too. They're
you
like
know?
the Sun Belt on one hand is like, we're trying to be big time. Let's do some big time shit. So they go out to Pensacola or whatever. And then they get the idea, well, actually, in this stupid, fucked up way, this is a spring break destination. So fan engagement, we give people something to come to versus going to Hattiesburg versus going to Marshall.
I understand. Yeah, I get it. Like, is it the best situation? Is this the best like alternative? No, the best alternative is go back to New Orleans. That's the best alternative. I don't understand why we don't want to do that.
The more times the conference can go back to New Orleans, I think the better. Also,
the better. Yeah, totally. So look, we fixed Sunbelt men's basketball.
Boom.
We said there's nothing to talk about. Boom, problem solved.
Problem solved. So now we're in, I guess, like the true off season is what I would call it, because there's absolutely nothing to talk about football wise except different transfer portal stuff. The portal opens up, I think, in like 15 days or something like that.
Yeah, it's such a weird time because like you get
in the middle of May.
Well, you get done with all of the spring practices and all of the spring games for all of the different colleges. Like I know TCU's is this weekend, Texas's was last weekend, Texas State's was the weekend before that, UTSA was the 13th as well. So it's like you want to get all of these spring games done. You want all the players going in the portal at the same time. Hey, you didn't get any playing time. I didn't get any playing time. Let's all go back in the portal. But man, is it weird. I hate this portal. I hate it. I hate the spring portal going into the summer. And I understand that without that,
it's pain in the ass.
I understand without that, TJ Finley doesn't come last year, but it just sucks not knowing what your roster looks like. It just is. That's part of the problem. But man, imagine being a defensive coach and you're watching your defensive end just ball out in the spring game. You're like, damn, like that's going to be an all conference player. That's going to be a guy who can win defensive player of the year next year for the MAC or the Sun Belt or Conference USA. And it's like, oh no, I'm going to Ohio State or I'm going to go to Texas or I'm going to go to Alabama. And you're like, what the hell? Like, come on.
Hey,
that was supposed
you know
to be
what they say. Don't fall in love in the spring. Summer's right around the corner.
Ooh,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point.
A bar.
Print the t-shirts. GJ Kenny and the rest of the college football staff don't love that though.
No. Well, I don't know. I think it's weird because I really didn't look at the roster much into the spring game because it's like, I don't give a shit. And also these guys aren't wearing numbers, so it didn't really help. You know, we're looking at like a very tiny McLeod right above his eyebrows. That's the only demarcation on their uniforms because Kenny believes that you have to earn your numbers, which I think
no, he doesn't.
Great.
Stop it. Here's why it is.
He believes some people have to earn their numbers.
It's scouting. It's scouting. If you have so and so wearing a number, you can pick him out on. And look, coaches can do that anyway. But if you have a guy in there that's a spy that has like a little flip phone camera, is spy gating Texas State. First off, shout out. Like, I mean, I'm glad we're in your head like that. But at the same time, without the numbers, you don't know who's who, and it makes it a little bit more difficult. That's why it's not the earn the number thing. Maybe it is, but I don't buy that.
What I did not know, except I do know now because I produced the Aggie War Pod podcast too, is that A&M had like a legitimate game for the spring game, and Craven goes into it on their deal, but basically A&M has the infrastructure to do that kind of shit because they have so many fucking people, you know, not even just their scholarship athletes. They have, you know, walk-ons and yell leaders that are trying to live a dream still. So, you know, they could beat up dudes for a while. But they had like two of their captains, you know, do like a draft style deal. And then that's how they did the spring game.
For the offense and the defense?
Yeah. So they had their starting quarterback was on one team. Their other dude was on another team. And then they had like all the best wide receivers on one team, the fucking twos on all the other side.
See, and then somewhere there's some Aggie podcast, not Cravens, but somewhere who's like, can we trust this quarterback? Because he picked so-and-so as his left tackle. And that guy's the third string
It was
guy.
two defensive captains that started off for A&M. So it was very obviously like defensive heavy. Like they picked one dude just because they didn't want to block him anymore. So it was, you know, it's pretty good. But it does give you like a weird, like all those guys having to cover A&M now are like, well, fuck, what do we even take from the spring game? But at least we saw a real game, you know?
Yeah, that's one of those. If I thank God Texas State doesn't do something like that because that's how you get in trouble, man. I don't know. I think that part of that's probably seeded too, where it's like, okay, hey, we know what we know what we want to look for in so and so the quarterback.
It doesn't matter that our quarterback's throwing to a bunch of scrubs right now. We know
Well,
he's
and then
good in
the other part too, and look, for Texas State, it's a little bit different, I imagine, from A&M or Texas, but you should, if you're the starting quarterback for Texas A&M, you should make any wide receiver look okay. And also those wide receivers, Texas State's drop off from what the highest star player. Let's just say it's a 3-star, right? Let's say the highest star wide receiver for Texas State's a
former 4-star guys on our team versus
right versus
true 5, yeah,
true 5 and 4s for A&M and going forward.
Yeah, so obviously a huge difference between Texas State and Texas A&M, but it got me thinking, like, what other things could coaches be trying to do in the spring? Because they're going to have to navigate this, like, odd portal time anyway. Is going after, like, a weird, like, scrimmage type of deal that we do, like, more the thing? I don't know. It's going to be way different next year when all that stadium bullshit is done and they could really swag out the whack, I think. But it just got my wheels turning, so... I know we said we put football to bed, but it's always in the fucking back of my mind.
Well, here's the thing. Like, what would you do if you're Texas State? I think first thing is, like, after the spring game, I think the first thing you do is you recruit again. You make sure everybody who didn't get playing time or was injured or didn't get the reps that they wanted to see, you got to go re-recruit those guys and be like, hey, don't go in the transfer portal. Don't leave, right? I think that's step one. Step two, once the portal opens, give it 12, 24 hours. And then it's, okay, what does our roster look like? Okay, where are the holes? Where do we need to add talent? And
that's the thing.
Where do you need
going on? There's already dudes in my DMs,
Really?
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not saying
GJ
me
Kinney.
personally. Yeah. I'm saying if I was a GJ Kinney or Mike Oko type dude.
So here's where my head's at too. Then with this coming out of the spring game, we didn't talk about it with Colton yesterday or last week, but what is the position group that you think needs the most help? What is the position group that you're like, I would not mind having another transfer come in here and shake things up a little bit? Because I got two.
I think it's the lines on both sides.
Yeah.
Yep.
Offense and defensive line for sure. I don't think that that's a bad answer at all. I said tight ends. Ooh. I said Texas State hasn't really.
When they were all last year, they were like, "Oh, we're bringing back tight ends. We're bringing tight ends back." And then we signed Connor Fox, who played 2 games for us the entire year, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then we had.
I like Connor Fox too. I was a Connor Fox fan. Keenan Brown. Remember when we had Keenan Brown on our team and he was just a monster, and then we couldn't get the ball to him. So we've never really been a tight end school.
Yeah, well, right.
And who has
position group? The other position group that Texas State never seems to be completely shored up at is corner and safety. The secondary, it seems like everybody's always hurt or there's an injury that comes in later in the season. And the defense that Texas State's running this year, where they want to get a big pass rush, you got to have corners that can cover for more than 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You're looking at guys like, God forbid, you're in coverage for more than 5 seconds. But if you have got some shutdown corners at the Sun Belt level, dude, you're going to win a ton of games like that.
You know what they needed? They needed me. I was a great corner.
Got quick hips?
The only thing is I'm 5'7". So when these dudes throw to Megatron level guys, 6'7" dude, he's gonna catch it over me every single time, 100% of the time. Unless I hit him from 5 yards in, which was usually my game plan.
Yeah, hold on to him for the first 5 yards.
Knock the piss out of him, yeah.
Yeah, that I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a college football coach at I think the D2 level, D3 level. Anyway, smaller colleges. Yeah. And he was talking to me about how the first day on campus, he was looking at the wide receivers warm up and he was like, that guy's not very big. Let's turn him into a corner. And he did turn him into an all conference cornerback.
Dude, so that's exactly what my coaches in middle school thought. The problem was I was 4'9" until junior year of high school. And that's when I was I grew almost a foot over the summer. And that's when girls finally started texting me back and stuff. Yeah, no, I was so tiny.
4'9"?
Mm-hmm. I was in the lollipop, bro. Till I guess it was sophomore year or something, but still, that was my puberty. And I was like, dude, I'm about to be fucking 6'2". Let's go. Stopped at 5'7". which apparently does not make me a short king. I was telling you the other day there was some
No,
debate
yeah.
in my
Put it in the
office
poll.
yesterday.
Put it in the poll. Comment down below.
Yeah. Is
Comment-
Jacob a short king? And if not, when the hell does that threshold stop? I've been told it's 5'5" or 5'4". I'm 5'7".
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
Tinder,
man. I
on
don't know,
Tinder, I'm
5'7".
still 5'7" because I'm a realist. If I don't lie in fucking Madden, you think I'm gonna lie on a dating app? No, sir.
You lying 2K?
Yeah, all the time. I want to be a center sometimes, you know. Get me a 5'7" center. I'm never gonna get any fucking minutes. So we are in the heart of baseball and softball season, Andrew. Let's start first with the fun one to talk about. Ricky Woodward's battling Bobcats going into the stretch at a oh shit, I had the wrong tab open. 37-12 record, 19-8 at home, riding a 5-game win streak right now. The last time you and I spoke to her in person, she was like, "Yeah, we probably have to win like 6 of the last 7, and we'll be fine." They're fucking cooking right now, so I think they'll be fine, coach. By the way, the conference tournament is in San Marcos, which is why we were talking about the Sun Belt Conference doing funny business in Pensacola, because they follow that model for literally every other sport that does a tournament system anyway. So why not? Let's talk about it though, Andy. They are playing Marshall as their last series. It's their senior day and stuff at Bobcat Stadium. That's already next week. Wow, look at that. So we have to fucking talk to these girls next week is what I think I'm getting at too for myself. So
You don't want to talk to him right before the tournament again?
we could do that too. Well, what I think we should do maybe is talk to Sarah and Jess maybe next week. No promises on this podcast. And then maybe we talk to Coach Woodard ahead of the tourney, real tourney, NCAA.
You're going to try to jinx from the top of the head this time. You're not just going to jinx the best player. You're going to jinx the top of the head.
We need that mea culpa for Coach Woodard because we told her we would go see her at that one game, and she's probably like, "Where the fuck was Andrew and Jacob?"
I don't think so. I think she had
I was
much
getting
bigger
jumped.
fish to fry.
Those squaring around in the crowd.
Yeah, right. That would be so okay. That would be tough.
You see a Texas State coach getting jumped. Do you jump in? Is that your question?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's make this fair. Texas State admin will throw Don Coryell and Kelly Damphus in the mix.
If Kelly's getting jumped, I'm jumping in.
Guys,
jumping in no matter what. Yeah.
100%.
Now, square 2 a.m. because I know you've been a coward there before.
Yes, several times actually. Yeah. If I see Kelly get in a fight, I gotta jump in. That's my guy.
Yeah, 100%. Now, how far down does that go? Because you said AD president for sure,
Don
head coach for sure, position coach.
Chris Coots,
If Chris is getting in a fight, you jumping in?
Phillips getting in a fight. I think I gotta
Jumping in?
I gotta jump in for my boy. Gotta jump in. Yeah, those guys,
Okay.
100%.
GA? If a GA is in a fight, you jumping in?
All right, let's pump the brakes on that.
Okay.
What did this GA do?
Okay. You need a film study, bro. You need a guy that cuts the film. Cuts the
Daniel
tape.
DePrado, if you're getting jumped, I'm jumping in. Special
Okay.
teams, special players, special plays.
Special teams, special players, special play. Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yes, I'm jumping in. So we're already fucking at conference tournament time, pretty much. Damn.
Yeah, the spring went by fast.
Yeah. And as I mentioned, they play in San Marcos, so I'm sure we're gonna have to get credit, or not credit, social credit score. I've been thinking about the social credit score in China a lot recently. I took a Benadryl before we started recording this podcast.
Why? Why would you take a Benadryl before we did the podcast?
Dog shit, bro. There's something in the air because of all the rain in San Antonio recently. There's a bunch of mold that always messes with me. Sorry. On the other side of the diamond, or what do you call softball? The circle, or
I'm gonna kill myself.
what do you call that?
Yeah, no, they pitch in the circle, so it's not a mound; it's the
But
circle.
It's still called a
but
diamond.
it's still a diamond, bro.
Okay.
Like, what are you talking about?
On the other side of the diamond, baseball, baby.
Out the other side of the complex, it's a complex. You could have just said the other.
That's
field.
true too. 21-21, 7-11 in conference, riding a one-game win streak.
Brother.
They just beat the University of the Incarnate Ward, run ruled them 10-0.
That's a good win.
Yeah, I know. So
Now, at this point in the season, you, Jacob, Mr. Mustachio, Mr. Steven Trout, like super fan,
Mhm.
this is not a good spot to be in.
no.
So
but they have
are-
significantly more games to play. They have like 9 or 12 more games to play versus the softball team, which only has like 7.
But let me ask you, are we trending up or down?
I believe we're trending up.
Yeah, first on the pitching side, obviously Roby really good. Then the guys that have been through the baseball well, and so anytime you get a shutout, I think that's our first one of the year, maybe first or second.
First.
I think it's the first one. It feels like the first one. Okay, so really excited for those guys to get that shutout and hopefully take some momentum. They threw the ball well on Saturday and Sunday, so another good day of throwing the baseball. So really good job. And then offensively, we went back to work today. We did a little extra hitting today before the game. Try to get back in the middle of the field, try to get to the top of the baseball. I don't think we popped up one time tonight, to be honest with you. Wild's foul ball over here. Outside of that, no pop-ups, no weak contact in the air. Still got to work on some of the pull side ground balls, but a lot better swings today, a lot better approach. So we got to take that into this weekend and hopefully build off that.
Now, do we have to sweep Arkansas State? Yes. Do we have to go back to the bird bath and beat the dog shit out of UTSA? 100%. ODU? Yes. Troy? We're going to have to make some magic happen.
But you see, you're asking, okay, we talk to coaches, hey, pitching's there, hitting's not there, whatever, right? But it doesn't matter. My point being, you are saying of the next 3 series, you're asking for a sweep and a 2-series win. And that's like you go through the Texas State baseball schedule. When's the last time they not only swept a group, but then won the next 2 series consecutively?
If you look at their schedule, not often, baby.
This is what I'm saying. You are asking for 7 wins in a 9-game stretch. That's a lot. You're asking for a lot.
We lost our last 3-game series to South Alabama. By the way, quick interjection here. The Red Clay Strays. Country music, right? Good band. I have tickets to see them in June. They are South Alabama fans. What the fuck is that? That was a shot for the Sun Belt I didn't think I would see. But they liked that recent game, South Alabama versus Texas State, because that's the game they were fucking talking about on Twitter. So, ouch, that hurt. Anyway, back to what the fuck we were talking about. They actually play my cousin's team, too, to end the year. They go to McNeese. They'll play my cousin over there at their ballpark in Lake Chuck. And then they finished the year in Hattiesburg. Last year, we finished the year at Cajun Field. I feel like it was a broader bad omen for the entire fucking conference tournament time. So, not great. But yeah, I mean, in order to get to where these guys want, and they've all said, we want to be back at the fucking regional, they're going to have to do a lot of good.
And again, it's different for baseball than it is for softball, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a little bit more time to get the bats warmed up, get the shoulders warmed up. And you and I have talked off air a ton about Texas or TCU last year, where I was like, TCU season's done. I talked to you in like April. I was like, they're over. TCU's over. And then they went to College World Series. So all it takes is getting the pitching and the hitting right for a stretch, and you can make some magic happen. I just don't know about this baseball team, Jake. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll prove me wrong here. But you look back to the group that they had last year. I thought they came back with more arms this year, and it just really, it just never clicked the pitching wise. Am I wrong?
By the way, for everybody at home wondering, where do we stand in the RPI race? We are currently 115, which is up from 119, which we were last week, according to D1 Baseball, or NCAA, actually, which is their D1 Baseball list. So if you watch D1 Baseball shit, I'm sure you're fucking confused all the time.
My point, pitching, how does it look?
Not great. Not good at all, actually.
And that's what makes me concerned, is that like if Texas State's losing games 2-1 or 1-0, we would be in the spot, hey, they just need to get the bats rolling. But when the bats are still lukewarm, because we're not the worst hitting team in the league, we're lukewarm and the pitching still isn't there, that's a problem to me.
Okay.
You either need lightning bats or not, you know.
Our last 3-game series, right? South Alabama. We won the first game 6-3, lost the second game 2-5, lost the third game 1-3. So, I mean, it's right there, but I just feel like overall it's inconsistency, you know, like it's like when the pitching is there or when the pitching is maybe close, the bats aren't there. And when the bats aren't there, the pitching is nowhere fucking near there, you know? And then, I don't know. Dalen Pena is coming back to life, by the way. I've still wanted to see more things from Chase Mora. Ryan Farber is having a fucking incredible year as a freshman. He just recently came back from some sort of injury, but he hit a fucking homer as soon as he came back. So
Yeah.
the bats are not the problem. The bats will never be the problem, I think, for Texas State. Now, people have criticized us in the past for being this whole like home run oriented team. That's just more fun to watch, though, in my opinion, too. I don't know.
And I mean, the whole thing, the analytics point towards that is like swing for the fences. So I don't know. I would be curious because I was talking to a guy the other day who played college baseball, and then he was talking about when he went from like a JUCO to a Division I school, how there was just different hitting mechanics, that they like had better technology, better equipment. And I haven't really heard a ton of that from Texas State. I haven't heard a lot of like, hey, they're really analyzing the, launch angle when it comes to the. I haven't heard that. Maybe they are doing that, but that's something I'd be curious about.
I'd be really curious once they open up that new, because they have to get like $3 million or whatever for that new pitching complex that they're doing for baseball and softball. That'll give them both new locker rooms and all this other swag at the baseball softball complex. But I wonder how much all that stuff will play into what they do in the future, because Texas State already has like a pretty good I guess data fact check team. They give you like the launch angle. There's a whole separate account. Texas State baseball, something or other.
Advanced analytics, yeah.
Advanced analytics, yeah. But they really haven't had a lot to talk about too, because Texas State has been winning. Normally when somebody hits a 400 or 400-yard fucking home run, there's a lot of things to tweet about. But guys don't do that as much anymore. Not a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Did you know, Zimmel, that the Bobcats are in the NCAA regional golf championships right now for women's team? Pretty good.
I did not know that.
They won the Sun Belt Conference tournament, as Colton pointed out, or one of them did. I think it was the individual championship for the Sun Belt Conference tournament, which obviously gives you a lot of points. And then this year, for as much shit we talk about golf and also tennis, last year the golf team shut us the fuck up by winning the NIL. Still no banner to be had, but we'll have justice for the golf team at some point. And then the tennis team actually played pretty well too. And people were like, "Why aren't you watching this?" And I was like, well, first of all, I have a job. Second of all, I don't know, not a big tennis fan. I had my cousin Ryan write about that sport for a while. But yeah, that's fun. And it's camp season now. So GJ Kinney's hosting a bunch of prospect camps, and he sent the rest of his gang of his merry men out to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio. We're rocking new graphics. We're saying goodbye to the big Bobcats from last year and hello to neon letters and other cityscape stuff, which is pretty much the same thing, but without a big Bobcat in the background. So
I like the graphics. I think they look okay.
I think they look very clean. So I have no complaints about the graphics. And
I think they got our message about the cringy hashtags and tweets, because I'll tell you, they cleaned it up. Looks a lot cleaner now.
They really did. Yeah. So begs the question: if we don't have as many followers as we say we do, but maybe it's because we get so many damn impressions on our tweets and stuff. Because those two, I've been going hard on our teases lately, because I'm trying to come up with a proof of concept for Ish for next season, for different things that the Republic of Football Network wants to do. So I've been going a little ham on our teases lately. Last week I had a big Eastbound and Down Kenny Powers one, and the week before I think I did a Degeneration X one for you and me, Colton. Or I don't think Colton was on that show.
Big Dad.
Yeah, Big Dad was on that show. There you go. So that's been fun. But I don't know what I'm gonna do this week. Once you do like two cool things in a row, you're like, ooh, can I go for a third?
I think rap beef.
Rap beef would be kind of sick.
There you go. There you go. Thought I could help. Best producer in the game, Jake Rodriguez.
There's one last thing I wanted us to talk about, and this was something that we got some fan engagement about. Have you heard about the River Otters being back in San Marcos? That's been like a very feel-good story out of the hill country that's happened this week. Have you heard about that?
No.
Okay,
but
so
I have some takes about the river, so I don't know.
Let me give you the whole skinny, baby.
Yeah, give me the lowdown.
The University Star came out with an article. I don't know if
did they?
I don't know if it was this week or this past week, but they came out with
their newsletter.
I do actually, but I didn't see it there. So I don't know. Whoever runs their newsletter, pick the best stories of the week, not what you think is going to be good. Pick the best stories of the week. Anyway, so they wrote this story basically saying how for the first time in 70 years, river otters have been spotted in San Marcos. And you're like, oh, wow, immediately. That's cool. When was the last time a sighting has occurred? And if I told you just now, right, that they wrote an article last week, within the past week, when would you have thought the last sighting was for one of these river
We said
otters?
70 years. So
For the first
I go
time in
like
70 years, yeah.
I go 1953.
Well, no, but like when do you think from the time of publication to like when they actually saw the otter, like when
Same
did that
day.
happen?
If it gets published on Tuesday, it happened Tuesday.
It happened in February, was the last sighting of one of these fucking river otters.
So they said we haven't seen one in 70 years, and somebody said, well, actually,
So the way
it's
I was
only been like
introduced
70 days.
to this story was people were like, yo, at work. People at work were like, yo, did you see the river otters are back at Texas State? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, we have otters? Question mark. So I pull up our article from our sister station in Austin, KView, who wrote, report, river otters are back at Texas State. And then they just cite the entire University Star article pretty much. So then I click on the OG University Star article and I'm like, February? When the fuck did this happen? Whatever. Sometimes that happens, I guess. But a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the river otters are back. But are they back really? Are the river otters really back? We're talking about it next. We're taking your questions live.
So I am confused. So KView wrote about the story this week, but they actually came back in February.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So
everybody.
doesn't that just mean that like everybody's really late on this?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
got it.
including us now, but we weren't trying to be first on a river otter story either.
No, I'll tell you, we're first on a lot of stuff. First on talking mess. First on breaking down women's sports. Last on river otters.
So
Not a big river
our
otter.
boy Creme Brulee hit us up on Twitter and was like, yo, can we get boots on the ground and get this confirmed? And I said,
You want me to go to San Marcos and look for river otters?
in my head, that's what I fucking said.
Zibble, what are you doing, buddy? What are
Yeah.
you doing? I'm taking my nap, Jake. Oh,
I also think
super
that
important. Go
those
look for river
sightings-
otters.
I also think that those sightings occurred in the Meadow Center too. So that's like, one of the most pristine places.
Yeah, it's all ecosystem. That's
Yeah,
like a biome.
Exactly. And so it's not necessarily the most accessible place in the world. They won't even let you fish over there. I know because I've tried.
Oh, no kidding, huh? They not gonna let you fish in like the nature conserve.
Man, could you imagine the bass you could pull out of there, Zim?
What's wrong with you?
I'm the same guy that used to take a fishing pole instead of a 14th club with me when I would go play golf. So
That's insane. They go like, hey, this is an endangered species area. Jacob's like, hey, we're looking for the largemouth bass. You seen one?
we're talking about population control, Zim. Those bass get out of hand sometimes. Start making their beds too big. Start pushing out a bunch of other species. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I wasn't a big blind salamander fan. I was like, what's happening here? What's up with this?
You weren't a big blind salamander?
No, not a big blind salamander guy.
Damn. But yeah, that's kind of where I want to end this show. Is where the fuck are the river otters? And why is everybody so excited about them?
And can we get a river otter and Boco together? And how does this affect River State?
How does this affect River State? I think it's kind of cute though. River otters.
Yeah, you would be an otter guy. More of a bear.
And then as soon as I started talking about
Being
otters
is
and
pretty
stuff
good.
in
That was-
San Marcos, one of the gay guys in the office was like, "I think you'd be more of a jock, Jacob." And I'm like, okay,
See, that's the
let's
joke I
not
was
talk
going
about
for.
what I would be or what I would not be in the gay community. Everybody.
I'm glad that just segued right out for my joke. That was perfect.
Yep. No,
That was
I mean it teed it up perfectly. So why not? So yeah, that's all the important work that we're up to, everybody. And I promise we will try again to get some people on the pod next week for softball, the end of softball, and then we got to start talking about baseball. I'll tell you what though, I will be out at Texas State versus UTSA next Tuesday. That is April 30th. Very excited for that one. It's always a good time getting out there. I'll see what crazy improvements UTSA has done to their baseball field because they made a huge fucking deal about it over the offseason. So
I might have to swing by. That might be fun.
I know you're usually kind of a little bit of a B on that one. So
Well, hold on. Midweek game. I wake up at 3 a.m. every day to do this job.
I wake up at 11:30 p.m.
I'm just saying. It's like I don't understand this. Like I shouldn't get the rap about like, oh, you're not really like a night owl. I'm not. I gotta get up in the morning. Like, what are we talking? And it's a Tuesday, so it's gonna mess up my entire rest of my week.
We're on that Robert Pattinson grind right now. Something in the way.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Twilight. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about?
No, man.
Tenet.
Batman, dog.
Oh yeah.
Tenet. All right. Thanks for squaring around, everybody.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.